Check out the playlist in the description to follow full anime recap. The story begins with Rudeus and his friends finally reaching a city by the sea that has a harbor. At the same time, Roxy and her group arrive in the city by ship. However, by some bad luck, they didn't meet with each other. Unfortunately, Rudeus and Eris find out that Rudeus, who is a shepherd, needs to pay a lot of money to travel on a boat across the ocean. They don't have enough money for it. While they are trying to figure out what to do, that evening Rudeus receives a message from the Hitogami, the human god. The human god then tells Rudeus to buy some food from local shop to a specific place. When Rudeus goes there, he sees a hungry person and decides to help her by giving her food. Surprisingly, the hungry person turns out to be the demon emperor Kishirika Kishirisu, who has been reborn. After looking at Rudeus' generosity, she gives him a special gift called the Demon Eye. This gift lets him see a few seconds into the future. Later, we see Rudeus uses this power to save a man from getting hurt. Once Rudeus gets used to his new ability, he thinks about selling his staff to get enough money for Rudeus' ticket. But Rudeus advises him not to do it because it would upset Eris. Just then, the man whom Rudeus saved shows up and introduces himself as Gallus Cleaner. Roxy, along with her friends Talhand and Elinalise, started searching the city for Paul's family, who had gone missing, including Rudeus. But there was a problem. Rudeus was using a different name, so Roxy didn't realize he was in the same city. While exploring, Roxy saw Eris and Rudeus practicing fighting, but she got scared and ran away because she thought they were shepherd. Roxy couldn't find any clues about Paul's family, so she and her friends decided to go to the next town. On the other hand, Rudeus and his group managed to leave the city by taking a ship. Gallus, a helpful person, secretly brought Rudeus onto the ship, and in return, Rudeus agreed to help him with something in Zant port. When they reached Zant, Rudeus went to a secret place where smugglers hide. There, he learned that he had to rescue some beast children who were being kept captive by the smugglers. Rudeus bravely fought and defeated all the smugglers, and then he guided the children to safety. Meanwhile, Rudeus stayed behind to save a magical dog. But unexpectedly, he was attacked and caught by two beast men who thought he was one of the smugglers. They decided to take him to their village to ask him some questions. Rudeus was locked up in a village called Doldia. Then, another person named Geese, who was a thief, also became a prisoner there. One day, some bad guys called smugglers attacked the village because they wanted to take away the beast children. Rudeus and Geese managed to escape from their prison and decided to help the villagers. They fought together and defeated all the enemies, except for a guy named Gallus. Gallus turned out to be the boss of the smugglers and he tricked Rudeus to distract the village's warriors. Gallus was really strong and he hurt Geese and killed two of his friends. Rudeus thought he couldn't beat Gallus alone, so he thought about letting him run away. But just when things seemed hopeless, a magical dog, which was actually the sacred beast whom Rudeus had rescued before, arrived to help them. Together, they all defeated Gallus. After the fight, Rudeus met up with his friends Eris and Rudeus. They explained that they were late because they were busy finishing off the rest of the smugglers. The villagers said sorry to Rudeus for accusing him wrongly, and they thanked him for helping them. In Fit-Toa, Eris' grandfather got blamed for the trouble in the city caused by the powerful magic. And he lost his job and was punished by the king. With the arrival of the rainy season, Rudeus and his companions found themselves stuck in Doldia village for the next 3 months. During this time, Eris formed friendships with the beast children, particularly Tana, who happened to be Guy's daughter and the village's most skilled warrior. However, whenever Ghislaine's name was brought up, Guys reacted negatively. He revealed that Ghislaine, his younger sister, had left the village long ago and was considered a traitor for refusing to become a village guardian. This grabbed Tana's curiosity and sparked her desire to learn sword fighting. Eris willingly took on the role of her instructor. As the rainy season came to an end, Rudeus and his party prepared to depart from the village. However, Tana didn't want Eris to leave, resulting in a dispute between them. Thankfully, Guys managed to convince Tana to apologize. He shared that Ghislaine had been rebellious in her youth. And because of this, the village was unable to understand her, so to get rid of her, they allowed her to be taken away by an adventurer. Guys expressed regret for not making an effort to comprehend her situation. With the conflict resolved, Rudeus and his companions set off for the holy country of Milis, and Geese decided to join them for the journey. After arriving at the big city Milishan, which is the capital of the holy country of Milis, one of their friends, Geese, bids farewell to his companions and he goes his own way. Then later Rudeus thinks it's a good idea to take a break. But he sees something strange happening. It looks like someone is being taken away against their will. Rudeus decides to follow the people who are doing the kidnapping. He catches up with them and is surprised to see that their leader is a guy named Paul. Rudeus tells Paul about his own journey from the demon continent, but Paul asks him why he never tried to send a letter or think about the other family member, who were affected by the teleportation accident. Rudeus doesn't have an answer, and they end up getting into a fight. Soon we see Norn steps in and stops them. Paul tells Rudeus that their village was affected by a mana disaster accident where people were magically transported away, and he and his friends have been searching for everyone who went missing. As Rudeus feels sad because Paul's friends look at him in a disgusting way, and it also reminds him of times when he was treated badly before. Seeing the past memory, he quickly ran away. Later that night Eris tries to make him feel better by comforting him and he appreciates her for it. Later, Geese decided to meet Paul as he is an old member from the party that Paul was. After knowing the situation, he encouraged him to make up with Rudeus, because he is just a kid. Paul had bad dreams about what could have happened to Rudeus and decided to stop drinking. The next day, Rudeus and Paul met again. At first, it was a little awkward, but Rudeus realized that Paul misunderstood him and was trying to say sorry. They talked honestly and made up with each other. During their conversation, Rudeus said that after he takes Eris home, he will start looking for his other family members, even though he knows Eris' family is missing too. After Rudeus left, Geese told Paul that he would keep searching for the rest of Paul's family in places they hadn't looked yet. While Rudeus and his friends were traveling across the sea to a place called the Central Continent, Roxy went back to her village to see her mom and dad. Roxy was sad because she couldn't talk to the people in her village using telepathy like she used to. She thought about leaving right away, but then she realized how much her parents missed her. When Roxy talked to her mom and dad, they told her that Rudeus had visited them 2 years ago. Roxy was really happy to hear that he was okay. After spending time with her parents, Roxy decided to go with her friends and continue looking for Rudeus's family on a continent called the Demon Continent. Rudeus had another meeting with someone called the Human God. This person told Rudeus how he could find his friends, Lilia and Aisha. Rudeus traveled to a place called the Kingdom of Shiron and sent a letter to his friend Roxy, who works as a teacher there. Rudeus saved Aisha from some people who were chasing her. The Human God advised Rudeus not to tell his sister who he really is. She thinks Rudeus is a bad person because she found some underwear that belonged to Roxy. Rudeus followed this advice and didn't reveal his true identity to his sister. He didn't want her to think badly of him. Rudeus got summoned to the palace to meet Roxy, but it turned out to be a trap. The seventh prince of Shiron, named Pax, had captured Lilia and wanted to use Rudeus to get Roxy's attention. Pax liked Roxy a lot and thought this would make her notice him. Rudeus was locked up in a cell, and a prince named Zenoba came to visit him. Zenoba really admired Rudeus because he could make sculptures that looked just like their friends Roxy and Rudeus. Zenoba wanted to be Rudeus's apprentice and learn how to make sculptures too. But Rudeus told him that only Pax, another prince, could let him out of the cell. Zenoba didn't give up. He promised to find a way to help Rudeus. Meanwhile, Pax's guards sneaked Rudeus, Eris, and Aisha into the palace. They made a deal with the guards to rescue their families, who were being held captive by Pax. Then, something surprising happened. Zenoba caught Pax and revealed that he had super strong powers. They called him the Decapitator Prince. Zenoba forced Pax to set Rudeus free. The guards who had helped before refused to help Pax anymore because they heard their families were safe. Afterwards, Lilia and Aisha were going to be sent back home. Lilia returned Roxy's underwear to Rudeus, and she also gave him a special necklace that Sylphiette had made for Rudeus's 10th birthday. Rudeus gave Aisha his forehead protector as a special gift. As Aisha left, she said sorry to Rudeus for calling him a bad name. She knew all along who he really was. Meanwhile, Pax and Zenoba were sent away from the Shiron kingdom as a punishment for what happened. They said they were going to study abroad, but really, they were being exiled from the kingdom. When Rudeus, Eris, and Rudeus were on their exciting journey, they unexpectedly encountered Orsted, a mighty dragon god. When Orsted appeared, both Eris and Rudeus became very scared and froze in fear, unable to move. But what to say about our Rudeus? Ignoring the situation, he decided to approach and talk to Orsted. Orsted asked Rudeus about someone called the human god. Orsted thought Rudeus was one of the human god's followers, so he attacked him. Rudeus and Eris tried their best to protect Rudeus, but Orsted was incredibly strong and defeated them easily. It seemed like all hope was lost. Sadly, Orsted wounded Rudeus severely, and it seemed like Rudeus was about to die. When everything seemed hopeless, something extraordinary happened. Rudeus found himself face to face with the human god. The human god revealed to Rudeus that Orsted had been cursed with many terrible curses, one of which made everyone fear him uncontrollably. But somehow, Rudeus was immune to that curse. It was a remarkable surprise. Even though Rudeus didn't know what the human god's real plans were, he thanked him for helping him. But instead of dying, Rudeus came back to life. He found out that Orsted's friend, Nanahoshi, had stepped in and convinced Orsted to spare Rudeus's life. Then Orsted and Nanahoshi left, leaving Rudeus with a new life. One night, Rudeus told Rudeus about the human god and how the curse on him was slowly fading away. Now he won't have to worry anymore. The next day, they reached the ruins of Rudeus' old home, and it made him remember his early life there. Then, Rudeus said that since Rudeus and Eris were strong enough to take care of themselves, he would leave the group. Rudeus and Eris bid farewell to Rudeus and continued their journey to a place called Roa, which was also in ruins. There, Eris met up with her friend Ghislaine and Ghislaine's helper Alphonse. But then, Alphonse told them some sad news. Eris' parents died because of a teleportation accident, and her grandfather was executed by the king. Alphonse said another part of Greyrat family wanted Eris to marry into their family to keep the family line going, but Ghislaine didn't like that idea. After some time, Rudeus received news that Sylphiette, someone he cares about, was alive and not found dead. However, he didn't know where she was. Later that night, Eris came into Rudeus' tent and they had a serious lovey-dovey naughty night. But the next morning, when Rudeus woke up, he discovered that Eris had left with Ghislaine for an unknown place. This made him feel really upset and confused. Rudeus started feeling really sad and stopped enjoying things. He kept remembering the time when he was bullied a lot at school, and it made him feel scared and alone. Meanwhile, Eris decided to go on her own adventure with Ghislaine. She wanted to become stronger so she could protect Rudeus from Orsted. Rudeus saved some people from dangerous creatures and they praised him, even though he revealed that he was a shepherd. Zenoba and Geese continued their own journeys and they remembered Rudeus with fondness. Guys and Tana kept training together in Doldia village, while Roxy met with Kishirika and helped her pay a huge bill. Kishirika was really grateful and used her special eyes to find out where Rudeus's family was. She told Roxy that Aisha and Lilia were safe with their dad Paul and sister Norn. They found out that Rudeus's mom Zenith was in a city called Rapan on a continent called Bigaret. Upon knowing this, Roxy and her friends immediately got ready to go to the Bigaret continent and rescue Zenith. Rudeus was still feeling very sad, but then he had a dream about Zenith. It reminded him that he had a responsibility to find her and he realized he shouldn't give up. He decided to keep going on his journey even though he felt somehow scared. Somewhere else, we see Sylphiette, who was alive and had white hair now, was trying to convince a mysterious group to let Rudeus join them. And that's it for today's anime recap. Share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss any of our videos. Until next time, stay awesome and keep loving Wolf Anime Recap.